First of all, why did you come down? You're protesting today outside of the headquarters. What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, we want to let the potential investors of Magnum know that Jerry and I will continue to protest what the Magnum Ice Cream Company has been doing, which is silencing Ben & Jerry's in terms of its core beliefs, its social mission. When the company now tries to speak out against injustice, when we try to speak out for racial justice, when we try to speak out for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and when we try to speak out against the slaughter that's now going on in Gaza, we are silenced. And that kind of destroys, it kind of rips the heart out of Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's is about more than great ice cream. It's about being a socially conscious company that stands up for common decency and what's right.
What do you say to those, and presumably there'll be some of them on the board at Magnum, I would imagine, who will say that virtue signalling doesn't sell ice cream, that people just want good ice cream, not a message?
I think people want a company that stands up for beliefs that they believe in themselves. And it's really interesting, what we've seen over the history of Ben & Jerry's, as we stand up for justice and freedom of speech, we end up selling more ice cream. I think what's going on right now is that the political climate, Trump is against these things, and it seems like the board of Magnum has been Trumpified.
Well, you say Trump is against these things, but of course Trump is in power because an awful lot of people in America voted for him. Here in the UK, we have Reform doing very well in the polls. It is not the message that the era of brands taking the moral high ground over things is slightly in the past now, that people actually want companies and corporations to do what they say on the tin. I mean, for example, look at what happened with Jaguar with its advertising campaign. Look at what happened with Budweiser with their advertising campaign. It seems consumers too are voting with their feet.
The values of Ben & Jerry's are core to our brand, core to our company. We have not changed, we have not shifted since the company was founded in 1978. We're not going to go with the trend in terms of, is the trend about not caring about justice, not lifting your voice when people are being, when people are being discriminated against, when people are being killed? For people in the United States, the majority of people in the United States don't want our country to sell weapons to Israel. They're actually just giving them to Israel in order to kill people living in Gaza. And we need to stand up to that. No, the answer is not to roll over and lie down when people just like yourself are being slaughtered. You're saying it's not trendy?
No, I'm not saying it's not trendy. Well, I'm just saying that people, of course, have a right to protest and people have a right to believe what they want. But do we want the companies that we buy our ice cream or our coffee or our cars from to tell us what we should be thinking? Surely people can make those decisions about the product itself and have their own independent free thought about politics separately.
We're totally not telling people what they should be thinking. All we want is the freedom to tell people what we think. The company has a social conscience. The company has a three-part mission. That includes a social mission. That includes a deep respect for people's rights. That includes a belief in freedom of speech. And these things are being eroded. And the company believes in great ice cream. It believes in justice and peace, and it does what it can to try to make those things possible.
You and Jerry Greenfield sold Ben & Jerry's for $326 billion, I understand. Would you be happy to give that money back?
Well, we didn't try to sell the company. We were forced to sell the company. It was publicly held. So yes, I mean, we certainly didn't own the entire company. We didn't get all that money. We did get a nice hunk of money. I gave half of it away. You're saying, would I give it back? Absolutely. If we could still have Ben & Jerry's independent, any day.
I mean, there'll be those who'll say that you can't sell your company to a conglomerate and then come back a few years later and say, we've changed our mind, actually. Can we have it back and can we have control again?
Well, there's been a tremendous amount of conflict that's gone on between Unilever's and Ben & Jerry's. We tried to work it out, but it got to such an extent that the independent board of Ben & Jerry's has sued Unilever, and they're currently in litigation. I mean, this is something that doesn't work for either party. And now that Unilever has decided that they want to sell off their entire ice cream business, they want to spin it off into the Magnum Ice Cream Company, we said to Unilever, well, as long as you're getting rid of all your ice cream, can't you just carve out Ben & Jerry's and let it be owned by some investors that are aligned with the mission of Ben & Jerry's? And they said, no, we won't consider that. And we're saying that, well, now that it's becoming owned by the Magnum Ice Cream Company, perhaps those guys will consider the idea that they don't want to stay in constant conflict with the founders and the independent board of Ben & Jerry's.
We shall see.
I mean, why not let Ben & Jerry's be Ben & Jerry's? Let Magnum be Magnum.
You probably shouldn't have sold it, would be my advice.
I was forced to sell it.
Okay. Well, listen, great to talk to you, Ben. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. Thank you very much. And we have a statement that we should read also from the Magnum Ice Cream Company. They say, Ben & Jerry's is a proud part of the Magnum Ice Cream Company and is not for sale. We remain committed, though, to Ben & Jerry's unique three-part mission: product, economic and social, and look forward to building on its success as an iconic, much-loved business. Now, Kemi Badenoch